Okay, let's keep going this week. I know I've been wearing the same clothes. Looks like I'm wearing the same clothes every day, but I'm really not. I'm just recording this all in the same
day. Mackenzie Peterson, come to the office with your things, please.
So, why don't you guys get out the lab safety contract. It actually has the rules on it. I can find mine. That'll be good. So, I want you guys to do that. Again, maybe I'll find mine. Everything's nice. Yeah, I don't know where I put them. Okay, your safety contract. There's just a few things that I specifically want to go over with you guys on here. I'm having a lot of trouble finding my notes here.
Cameron Miller, come to the office, please.
And I just had them out. I don't know where I put them. Anyways, I want, so let's get out this lab safety contract. Odds are you've been over it in another class before because I use the same one that Mr. Petty uses and Mr. Sanders. And so I've got a few things. One thing to know is that you guys will have a lab safety test. Okay, that will be on, it will be next Wednesday. Okay, so, anyways, what I do want you guys to make sure you know these, because if you do not make at least a 90 on that test, you cannot do labs. So keep that in mind. You need to make a 90 on it. Okay, so let's go over. Okay, general rules. Number 2 says just follow all written and verbal instructions. We do lots of labs in here, and generally what I do is I give you the lab instructions the day before, tell you to read them at home that night, okay, not when you get to class the next day. Tell you to read them at home that night, and then the next day I say, okay, get in groups and have at it. Okay, so you need to be able to follow directions, and that's something you guys need to practice anyway. So follow directions. Okay, I always have people ask me questions like just read the next step or go back to this step or whatever. Always read them. If you don't understand something, ask, and we'll go over it together and try to figure it out. 3, never work alone. Okay, we're not going to do any kind of labs or activities working alone, especially with anything dangerous. And you definitely don't want to do anything without me being in here. Okay, the scalpels that we have in here, really sharp. Some of them are rusted, so that's something that you don't want to mess with. I've got all kinds of equipment. I don't want you to break it, and I don't want you to get hurt. Number 4, when first entering the room, don't touch anything. Okay, if I've already got the lab set up, just don't touch it. Just leave it alone until you give instructions. Number 5, don't eat food, drinks, or chew gum, especially when we're doing labs. Okay, I know this room isn't really a laboratory, but it's what we have. Okay, and so we're going to do a makeshift lab for a lot of things. But when we're doing that, make sure you're not drinking anything. Don't drink whatever we're working on. Let's be smart in here, because it won't bother me to kick you out of this class. So I don't want to do that, but if that's what we have to do to be safe in here, that's what I'll do. Let's go on. Number 6, of course, only do something that I tell you can do. Number 7, be prepared. Make sure, again, you read your instructions before you get to class. Don't play around. If I catch you playing around, you're going to make a 0 for that lab, and you're going to have to sit out and be done. And that's it. There's no warning. This is your warning. Today is your warning. If you play around, act crazy, try to pretend like you're cutting somebody with a scalpel or drinking something out of a beaker, whatever, hey, that's it. Today is your warning. The next time, you're just going to get a 0 and you're going to have to sit Number 9, housekeeping. Make sure you keep things clean and tidy, okay? Again, this is not a lab, so I do have classes that will sit in these desks afterwards, so if you spill something, clean it up. Keep the aisles clear, okay? I don't want to fall. Nobody else needs to fall. People are going to be carrying sharp objects. I don't want them to fall on the sharp objects, so put your books and everything under your desk, especially when we're doing labs. Number 11, know the locations and operating procedures of all the safety equipment. Hey, I've got all kinds of first aid stuff in here. If you guys will look, and I'm probably pointing the wrong way for you guys, but anyways, to my right, you guys' left, there's a fire blanket is on the wall right beside the lab. Speaking of the lab, you guys should not be in there unless you have permission. Okay, we're not going to be walking through there. I don't want you in there unless I specifically tell you to go get something, or if I tell you to go to the sink or go get towels. Don't even open the door. You don't need in there. Don't get my wheelchair out and play on it. Don't be playing with the bed, whatever. Okay, other safety equipment, our eye wash station. You guys have probably seen it. If you have not seen it, please take the time right now. Walk in there. Not the eye wash station, the shower. The eye wash station is here on my desk. Okay, so that's there if you need that. We have our goggles. I keep stored on this little movie cart. Over here, you'll need goggles for pretty much every lab that we do. I had somebody who didn't have their goggles on a couple years ago, got squirted in the eye when they cut open, I think it was a heart. Yeah, pretty gross. So just had to rinse it out and keep rinsing and rinsing and rinsing. But that's why we wear our goggles. And I can't always see all of you at every moment of time when you pulled up your goggles for a minute. So this fire alarm is, I think, the NH Hall. And then obviously exits. You guys know where those are. Okay, number 13 says be alert and proceed with caution. Make sure, again, if you see anything that's not right, let me know. We don't really have anything that we're going to work with that's like a poisonous fume, but we do need to, like when we're doing dissections and things like that, we'll open the door and kind of keep it in. Number 14, make sure we dispose of chemical waste properly. 9 times out of 10, the stuff that we use in here, we can pour down the sink, but sometimes it needs to be diluted first, or we need to do something different. So make sure you ask before you just start chunking stuff in the trash or pouring it in the sink. Number 16, make sure you keep your hands away from your eyes, your face, your nose, your mouth. Don't be touching dissected hearts and then touch your mouth. And don't be, we'll use hydrochloric acid when we get to the digestive system, and you don't want to touch your eyes with that because it will burn and hurt. So just keep your hands out of your face. Your goggles will help you from doing that too. Number 17, stick with your group, work on what you need to work on. Number 18, again, don't go into the lab. You don't need to be in there unless I specifically tell you to go. Do not use my room as a go-between on either hall. Okay? Don't even ask, because I'm going to say no. You need to walk all the way around. I'm sorry if you're tardy. That's your own call. Okay, number 21. When using knives and other sharp instruments, make sure you carry, okay, if I'm carrying scissors, I'm going to carry them pointed down. Same thing with the scalpel, pointed down. Okay, if I carry it like this and I trip and fall, okay, that would not be good. So anything that's sharp that you're carrying, always point it down. Always cut away from your body. Okay, I don't want to use my scissors like this back towards me. Same thing with the scalpel. I don't want to cut like this. I'm going to cut like this. So make sure you always, especially with the scalpels, they're really sharp, and sometimes the dissection, like the organs and stuff that we use, are really, really tough. And so it's easily to try to be cutting and it slip and hurt you. So definitely something that's important. If you drop the scalpel, let it fall to the ground. Okay, don't try to catch it. Okay, same thing with scissors or anything else that's sharp. Don't try to catch it, just let it fall. Hopefully everybody's following the rules on clothing and has on closed-toed shoes. If you have a medical condition, make sure you let me know. If you're allergic to something, if you have skin problems, anything that could affect you in here, please let me know. Clothing, anytime, we're always going to pretty much use goggles. Any sharp instruments, any fluid. Now some of the activities, just the fun activities that we do, we won't necessarily use them, but we will use them almost with pretty much every lab. Okay, again, if I see you with your goggles off, you're going to have to sit down and take a 0 for the day. Dress properly. Contact lenses. Let me know if you wear contacts, but for the most part, you probably need to wear glasses while you're in here. And even if you're wearing glasses, you still have to use goggles, so your goggles go over your glasses. If you have on contacts, definitely make sure you're wearing goggles all the time. Okay, dress properly. So if you've got really long hair, pull it back. You don't want it to get burned. You don't want your hair like touching the sheep eyes and ears, eyes and hearts and everything else. Be careful. And you lose your baggy clothing, that's just because it's it's a fire hazard. And then your shoes need to be closed-toed. They need to cover your feet. And if somebody drops a scalpel on your foot, it's going to hurt. And you're probably going to have to get another tetanus shot. And who knows what else is on there. So make sure you wear closed-toed shoes on days we do labs. Lab aprons will have, anytime we use lab aprons in here,
Megan Taylor, come to the office, please.
I have disposable ones, and we'll hang them on this skeleton at the back of the room, the one that has like the muscles and stuff on it. Oh, my good one up here. And we'll reuse them as long as we can until they're either torn or trashed or really dirty, and then we'll throw them away and get new ones. Make sure you report any accident or injury to me. Okay, let me know what's happening. Even if it's not a big deal, you don't think. Says if you or your lab partner are hurt, immediately yell out code 1, code 1. And don't do that to play around. Again, you'll have to sit and take a 0 for the day, but and I'll help you. Again, if you get some kind of chemical in your eye wash station, and ask, keep going for 20 minutes. And when you use this eye wash station, it's not like, oh, whatever, it's eye wash. No, you have to hold your eyes open and let it run. I had this guy one time when I was working at Children's. He was probably 18. He was working like on a construction site, and he had gotten something. I don't remember what it was. Something in his eyes. And we had this IV bag, okay, that hooked up that had saline in it, and it had these tubes running from it, and they each went into each eye socket. So, like, it had this little disc on the end that was hooked to a tube, and he had to put that disc directly on his eyeball underneath his eyelids, and then he had to close his eyelids over it. It was like the freakiest looking thing I've ever seen. It's like from a scary movie. But we had to flush that whole bag of fluids and then get some more. We had to do that for like 20 minutes. Whew. That would have been miserable. Chemicals, don't touch, taste, or smell any chemicals. Remember, waft with me. Okay, so make sure that you are doing that. You waft. Don't directly smell because you can burn inside your nose. Don't return things that we don't use to the original container. Because they may have been exposed to something else if we used pipettes before, those kind of things. So whatever we use has to be thrown away. You can't just put it back in the bottle. Number 34 on the back of the safety contract, don't use your mouth to suction up a pipette. Okay, that's the dumbest thing ever. It's like siphoning gas. It's just dumb, okay? So don't do that. 35, hold the containers away from your body if you're transferring things. Don't want to spill Acids, you have to be really careful. They have to be diluted before they go down the sink. It says always add acid to water and then swirl it or stir it or whatever. But you want to put acid into water because if something splashes out, it's going to be the water at that point. Okay? If you add water into acid and it splashes, the acid is going to splash. So you put acid into water to mix it. 39, take great care when transporting acids and other chemicals. Just make sure that you're walking carefully, watch where you're going, and so forth. Broken glass, let me take care of it. And that, those things happen. Okay, look at number 44, and y'all are going to think this is crazy, but it says, when removing an electrical plug from its socket, grasp the plug, not the cord. Okay, that's especially the case for these microscopes. Again, they're $400 a piece. Okay, we've gotten very good microscopes that you guys can actually know what you're seeing and what you're doing. Don't just yank the cord out to get them out. Use the plug. Okay, let's treat our equipment nicely. Always check your glassware. If it's chipped, we just need to throw it away. Let me know if there's something that's damaged. Make sure that if you don't know how to use something, let me know. Heating substances, keep the hot plate off. We will use the hot plate a couple times this year. Don't ever point an open end of a test tube or beaker at a person, okay, whenever you're holding it, especially if it's hot. Okay, one, sting, two, it can, it can splash them. So don't point things at people. Make sure that you use tongs or gloves or something, because things, what does hot glass look like? What color is hot glass? It's clear. It looks just like cold glass. So you don't ever know. So if you're working with heat, always just use tongs or gloves or whatever else you need to use to protect yourself. And never look into a container that's being heated. If I'm looking into a container and it splashes on me, it's going to be unpleasant. So make sure you guys do that. There is an agreement on the edge of this safety contract. You guys need to sign it, read it, sign it, and then your parents have to read it and sign it. So take this with your syllabus if you want. You have to have this turned in by next Wednesday, okay, when you take the test. Use this, read all of this before you take the test next Wednesday, okay? There's also on that, there's 3 instrument or equipment pictures that you guys will get later this week. A couple other things on my board back here, you can see there's a sun that has a fire extinguisher. Our fire extinguisher is in the closet just right around the corner. And the way that you use a fire extinguisher, actually, I was going to go get it, but I'm not going to get it because it's really heavy. But it tells you up here, RACE and PASS are your 2 acronyms that go with fire safety. RACE stands for Rescue, Alert, Confine, and Extinguish. Rescue, Alert, Confine, Extinguish. Rescue, Alert, Confine, Extinguish. So rescue means you move anybody who's directly in the area out of the way. Okay? Get them out. That's the first thing. People are more important than things. Next is alert. So either send somebody to pull the fire alarm, you pull the fire alarm, call 911, whatever it is. Rescue and alert. Third thing is confine. Okay, so that means if a fire breaks out in this classroom, for example, both of these doors need to be closed. Fire needs oxygen in order for it to continue burning. And that helps to close off its oxygen supply. What's the last one? Oh, extinguish. Okay, so extinguish is using the fire extinguisher. Now, how you extinguish is told by the acronym PASS. And again, you can look at it on the board. It's up there. You guys can have one of these pictures as well. P, PASS, stands for pull the pin. Okay, so there's a little pin and there's a little clamp at the top of the fire extinguisher. and you pull the pin. Okay. A stands for aim. So you aim the hose, you hold it, aim the hose. Anybody know where you aim the hose? Always aim it at the base of the fire. Okay. Getting the flames is not going to do anything. You've got to aim it at the base of the fire because that's what's actually burning. Okay, the next thing is squeeze the handle. So where that clamp is, you just squeeze it. You pull the pin out, you squeeze, okay, and then you sweep side to side with your hose, okay, at the base of the fire. Sweep side to side. And that's how you use a fire extinguisher. Very, very simple. They are a little bit heavy, so that's something to be prepared for. And kind of need to hold your ground because there's going to be some force pushing back at you once you actually get it started. And so that's the, that is that. Let me make sure I cover everything else that's on the test. A lot of this test is just common sense, so keep that in mind also. Now I can't find the test, so. The test will also cover a microscope, which we'll talk about later, which we'll talk about next week actually, so we'll do that. And that's it for lab safety. Make sure you read this before that, make sure you get it signed, make sure you get your syllabus signed, and that's that.